Well, welcome to the Worship Board podcast, where we talk about worship and what it means to be a worshiper. I really just wanted to open up this season 2 with I'm so excited to be back with you guys to talk about the things we're going to talk about. And I really just wanted to give you a kind of direction and a roadmap for where this season is actually going to take us. So first of all, I'm super excited for the guests that we're going to have, the topics we're going to talk about. But some things are going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more conversational. It's going to be less, here's the facts about what this thing is, and more about, man, this is the facts about how this thing has changed my life. More testimonies, just talking about, man, this is the time that I went on this mission trip, and it really shaped how I viewed worship in my life and how all of life must be worship. Man, this is how just all kinds of things affect all of life. I'm super excited for those things. And the second kind of piece of this season that's going to be different is we're doing the YouTube videos live. So we're actually recording the video aspect of this podcast. And with that comes a lot of trial and error. So I just ask that you would kind of give me some grace as I'm learning to do this well, to not have it awkward, to have a good um, camera angle and good sound and all of these things that I'm going to be learning how to do this season. With that, you might see some differences in each episode's layout. One being this episode is going to be different than the second episode, but it's probably going to be similar to the third episode because I'm actually recording this episode after episode 2 has already been recorded. It just kind of how the cards fell in that. But I'm super excited to be trying this season to get to bring in something new, something fun into the podcast where you can actually see me, see our guests as we're talking just about worship and what it means and has done and been changed in our lives, the way that we think through it. But I also really just wanted to kind of give you some life updates. I realize that I haven't spoken much about me and my life. And some of that was the intentionality of the first season and the way I went about it, the way I kind of wanted to keep it more. This is the facts about this, and kind of conversational depending on the guest and things like that. But less super personal. But this season, I really want to take it a little bit more personal. And with that, I was like, man, I really should give my listeners a little bit more into who I am and what I'm doing and, family life and church life and all those things. And so I just really wanted to start off by saying, one, obviously, you know that my name is Aubrey, but I'm married to my wife, Grace. We've been married for almost 2.5 years at this point. And we have one daughter, Ellie, who is just over a year old, and then one daughter who is due in July, little Quinn Alexandra. We're super excited as we're waiting for her. We just moved into a new apartment on our school campus housing where we have 3 bedrooms, meaning that I have an office and a studio to use to record the podcast episodes, the videos, and quite a few other things that I do. And one being also working for being on staff at Holly Grove as the worship director, Holly Grove Baptist Church, which you did hear some about last season. But in my office is just such a blessing to be able to do things like this, to be able to do things to prep and all of those. But yeah, so that's one thing. We just moved. The other thing is I also have started a business this year with my best friend Patrick, who will be on the podcast later down the road. We started it technically the end of last year, which I may have mentioned it. I can't remember if I mentioned it on the podcast or not. But really, it's It's not that. It's photography, videography, DJ services, and some other kinds of audio and things like that. It's called All Things Creative. I'm actually wearing the hats that we just got in. Um, the name is based out of Colossians 1:18, talking about how all things are created through him and for him, and how we were created to create, and we create through his power and for his glory. And then uh, we have really been working on it throughout this year, and hoping to launch it. I know that I mentioned this, but I work at Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary, where I also attend at college. But I'm working as an electrician, pursuing my electrical licensure is the goal as of now. I really don't see it changing. I really, really enjoyed the job, and all that kind of comes with it. But I'm working on that, and so you might hear all of that and think that I'm crazy. I'm going to have 2 kids. I'm on staff at a church. I'm working at the school. I'm going to school, and I decided to do a podcast. Turn off the podcast and go do something that you actually have to do. Well, the point of the podcast is that it's something that I want to do, something that I get to enjoy, and kind of do for fun on the side. And so that's what this really is for me, is just an outlet to have conversations that I love to have with people that I love to talk with, to hopefully be of benefit to you guys as you choose to listen to the podcast. I hope that we answer some questions that you may have just about worship and what it means to be a worshiper. And if you have any questions, we may not have the answers, but I would be happy to bring them up to some of our guests. I want to do a roundtable discussion at the end of this season to kind of close it off. And if you guys would send in questions, like, that would be awesome. That we could possibly answer some of those questions, or at least talk about those questions and land at maybe, I don't know. But it would be really cool to get to do that. And with the video aspect of the podcast, there's going to be like a lot more interaction on the social media. You might be wondering what in the world happened at the end of last season. He just kind of fell off the face of the earth. Part of it was it's hard to keep up creating content when you're not doing video. And 2, I just get so tired of being on social media sometimes. It's like this black hole that sucks you in, and there's like no joy at all at the end of it, because you're like, where did my 4 hours go? So I'm going to try to be more involved, but if I fall off the face of the earth again, it's honestly probably a good thing. It's because I don't want to be stuck on social media 24/7. But I'm like I said, I've said it 1,000 times, I feel like, already. I'm super excited to be back with season 2. And this episode is really not much of anything other than to give you the direction, hence the title of the episode, New Direction. I really wanted to kind of cast the vision for the season, set the expectations, give you the roadmaps, so that as you jump in with me on this podcast season, that you can kind of be prepped and prepared to enjoy and benefit the most from it. I hope that you will join me throughout this whole season, as we have some really exciting topics and some fun topics that we're going to be talking about. And yeah, I think that's all I have for you today, and all I have for you this episode. So I hope that you enjoyed today's episode, even though it wasn't much to it. And I hope that you'll join me again for the next episode. So thanks for joining the Worship Poor podcast, and look forward to having you listen to the next few.